Hello and welcome to episode 29 of the Sweet Lavender Knits podcast. My name is Christine and I'm coming to you from just outside of Toronto, Ontario in Canada. Today is March the 31st, 2019. It is a beautiful day outside, although we unexpectedly had some snow. Unexpectedly meaning I wasn't expecting it, but we've had some really nice weather that was warming up to almost look like it was going to be spring, and then we had snow this morning. So yes, this is Canadian winter for you, just very unpredictable, and we slide into summer before we even know that there's spring. You can find me on social media on Instagram as sweet_lavender1 and on Ravelry as sweetlavender1. We also have a lovely group on Ravelry called the Sweet Lavender Knits group, so come on by, check us out, and if you are up to it, do feel free to join in. You can introduce yourself in the welcome thread, you can talk about anything in the let's chat thread, and we will be having a knit along that will be starting tomorrow actually, which is why I'm here doing this podcast today, and I will share more about the knit along soon. The podcast is mainly about my knitting adventures. You are part of my knit night, which I don't have a local knit night to go to, so I've invited you to mine. So why don't you grab your needles, something nice to drink, your favorite project, and let's get started. You will find that I've set up the camera today at a slightly different angle, and the reason I did that was to try and get my sock blockers in frame, but obviously I am covering it because I've spent over 45 minutes trying to angle this camera tripod in a way that there's something interesting in the background and not just my wall. For today, this is about the best I can get. So I just want to try and do sort of a midway episode. I had talked about in my last podcast that I was going to be probably podcasting every 3 weeks or maybe once a month, but then I thought today would be an ideal time to just do maybe episode in between. I'm not going to call it a mini episode because I might end up talking for just as long as I usually do. I am a very chatty person, so just bear with me, but it's not going to have a ton of knitting content, but mostly just to talk a little bit about the KAL again, and yes, and that's the reason I'm doing it today. I want to thank all of you for all your lovely comments, both here on YouTube as well as on Ravelry. I've really enjoyed reading them, and I am careful. I always try to respond to all of your comments. So I want you to know how much I appreciate your comments and your likes, and just helping me to feel really part of the knit group, and that is a wonderful feeling. On other note, I have just been so busy with trying to get some knitting done. Not in a bad way, not in a rushed way. I work in the financial industry, so month ends and quarter ends are very busy times of the year for us, and this past week has been very busy, and my balance on that has been the knitting, and I have to say it's very therapeutic. It's very meditative to anybody who wants to try it as a way of relaxing. So if you are new and if you just come across this podcast, and I know a lot of people, I've heard a lot of my non-knitting friends make comments like, you want to relax and you take up knitting. So I always challenge them to say, why don't you watch somebody knitting, or if you don't know how to knit, just watch them, and it can be relaxing even to watch, and then maybe try it out as well. So I haven't had any converters as yet, but I am working on it. I want to say a very big thank you to Sandra, who is Ravelry ID I Love My Garden, and she is a part of our knit group, and a very active member, I would say, in the different threads, who reached out to me and offered me some assistance. And what that was to put on, open up threads on the Ravelry group, basically do show notes for my podcasts. I never thought of doing show notes, and all because, like, I am aware of what show notes are. It's just I never thought of it because I know I have no time for it. And Sandra was really, really nice enough to offer me to do them, or offer to do them for me, and I said, yeah, sure, go ahead. And so for those of you who do frequent the Ravelry group, you might have noticed the different threads with the episodes, and I think Sandra's at episode 5 right now. I might be wrong on that, but those notes, when I read them, they're quite detailed, and I feel like I need to put in more details in my podcast because I know I don't mention certain things. So please do let me know what you would like to hear more details of. Yes, I feel she's done a terrific job, and so I really do want you guys to take a moment and go check out the notes and see or if you're looking for any of the details from my episodes. Sandra is working. This is just something she's offered to do, so look out for the episode that you're looking for more details, or if you really, really want to know something, of course you can ask, and I'll be happy to go back and try and answer the questions. So thank you very, very much, Sandra. And so let's move on to FOs. I have a pair of socks that I've knit up for this month. This is my March socks, and for anyone who doesn't know, one of my goals for 2019 is to knit a pair of socks a month, and so I called it the Year of Socks 2019, and we have anyone else who wants to join in. It's not an official knit along as yet, but I was thinking maybe by December, if we have 12 pairs of socks, maybe we can do a prize for that. So if you haven't knit 12 pairs, or if you haven't knit 3 pairs as yet, don't worry, maybe you'll be able to do that before the end of the year, and I'll try and keep it open at this point. But yes, so these are my March socks. It is a lovely pair of socks that I've knit up. Well, it's lovely as in the yarn is lovely and the pattern is lovely, and I did enjoy knitting it up very much. The yarn is by Herbsplat Regina, and it is on the Hazel Soft Sock Base, I think it is, and it's called Vanilla Cupcake. There it is, you can see it. It's a lovely speckled yarn, and I like how it pulls in some of the, it does look like cupcake, doesn't it? It's got a little bit of brown and yellows and pinks and a touch of red in there, or darker pink, I think. And then I did the Fish Lips Kiss heel, which is not part of the pattern. So I literally picked up the pattern just for the stitch on the sock, on the body of the sock. Do you call it the body of the sock? But anyway, the main leg and the top of the foot of the sock is I picked up the stitch pattern. I did a 2x2 rib, which I believe is also part of that pattern. But anyway, the heel in the pattern is heel flap gusset, heel turn and gusset, but I went with a Fish Lips Kiss heel, so I've done that. And the yarn is Norwegian yarn. I don't know anything more than that. I don't know colorway or anything. It is rustic wool, and it is part of mini that I got in a swap that I did a long time ago, maybe about 2 years ago now. And I had this yarn because I was thinking I really needed to use it in a way where I would enjoy it, and I think having it on my heels is perfect. Unfortunately, I didn't have enough of it to do the heels and the toes, so now you might see that the toes are slightly different than the heels. and the reason was purely because I didn't have enough yarn for the heels and the toes. So for the toes, I've used the Snapdragon colorway from Little Red Kettlehead yarn that I used on my socks for February. So there was a little leftover from that, and I used it for the toes. So there you go. That is my finished object for this week, and these are my March socks. I just want to say a few pointers maybe for those of you who've knit socks but you know, find it a little bit of a challenge. I've been there and I totally understand it. And I think socks are a great project to try out if you haven't, because you learn so many techniques just in one sock. And then you get to repeat all of that in the second sock. You might find yourself losing interest after the first sock, in which case I do recommend that you try to knit them concurrently. That way you can overcome second sock syndrome if that is something that you're challenged with. The other thing I can say is you learn so many techniques, like even just the heels, where you're turning, you're doing short rows, or you're picking up stitches if you're doing a gusset or a heel flap. I think even for a heel turn, you are still doing short rows, so that's a great technique. You can pick up any pattern that you like out of a stitch dictionary, and if you don't have a stitch dictionary, I'm sure the local library, you should be able to get some knitting books. Maybe pick up a book that has a few different stitches, something that you like, and if you know your sock size, the standard sizes, there are usually 56, 64, 72, 58, something like that, where you can find a common denominator. So for 64, it's usually 4 or 8, and find a stitch pattern that fits into 8 stitches, and then you're repeating it basically all the way around the leg. So you can come up with your own pair of socks or that you would have designed, sort of, and put in a heel that you're comfortable working. You can pick up from any of the free patterns and try out. There are some patterns just for heels. You can try out those. Ravelry has a great resource for different patterns if you don't want to come up with your own. And yeah, I'm looking to try out different toes, because I usually just revert to my decreased toe that I've always done, but I want to try and do different toes. So I'm looking to get a copy of I think it's called Sock Architecture. Very popular book. It's been around for a while, but I want to try out some different toes and heels, and try some color work maybe in socks, more towards the end of the year. So yes, that is just something. Moving on now to works in progress. I have to say that I had a little bit of a disappointment with my Beaumont jumper. I won't show it to you. I'll just tell you what it is. Basically, I think I've knit too much, so it's too long compared to where it should. It's long to where I would like it to be. However, it's not very flattering, so I do have to tink it back a little bit or rip it back a little bit just to make it look nice, but then that means that it's too short and I'm not going to be comfortable wearing it. So it's sort of been put on the back burner for now, unfortunately, because it's so close to being finished, and I hate that, I could have finished it this month, but I really want to get it right, because I don't want to have spent all this time knitting it and then not enjoy wearing it. So yeah, so I'm just leaving it for a little bit while I think about what to do with it, because I do like it to be just a little longer where it hits the widest part of my hips, but somehow it doesn't look very flattering the way it is right now. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see. But so for the KAL, I'm going to be talking a little bit more on the KAL, but I wanted to do one project where I am taking the time and knitting for the 3 months that it's going to be, and I thought a sweater would be perfect for that. And because I've just barely started on the sweater, I thought it would be a good candidate. It would be a good candidate for this KAL. Obviously, I'm not eligible for any of the prizes or anything, it being my KAL, but it is really fun to knit along while you guys do as well. So this is the Cane Pullover, and I will put the designer's name up on the screen. It is a lovely Guernsey style pattern, and I got it in this, oh, it's very close to the color I'm wearing. I must like the color. But yes, here it is, and this is what I've done so far. It looks like a lot. It's DK weight, and the yarn is okay, so let me show you what the yarn is first. You have to bear with me. I feel like my mind rushes to give you all of this information too fast, and then I fumble through it and I don't do a good job. So sorry, but bear with me. It's yarn by Knit Picks. Oops, blowing out. There we go, Knit Picks, and it is the Swish DK base, and the color is called Bordeaux. I hope you can see that. And yeah, it is a very rich, a pinkish plum. Yeah, it's a pinkish plum, and I love it. It's just a very nice, bright jewel tone, and I think it'll be a nice sweater for me. So that's the yarn. I am on to just they're 50-gram balls. Oh, I didn't tell you what the yarn is made of. It's 100% superwash merino wool, and there's 123 yards and 50 grams, and it's DK weight. Yes, I'm on to the third yarn right now. Well, I just finished the third, and I will be starting the fourth, and I have not touched it yet because I will start again when the KAL begins, which is tomorrow. So this is where I've gotten so far. I've just started the top of the Guernsey pattern. It's just very easy pattern of knits and purls, maybe a yarn over here and there. I can't quite remember actually. I don't think there were any yarn overs, but lovely pattern. And yeah, and I started off with a provincial cast on, as the pattern tells you to, and then you go in. So my only concern with this is, again, I've had to play around with the numbers just so that it fits me a little better. And this is the first time I'm knitting a DK weight sweater. I hope it doesn't get too bulky or heavy, because I don't think I would enjoy that too much. But so far it seems nice and cozy, I want to say. But yeah, I've had to play with the sizes a little bit, so I hope the size fits me well and doesn't look like I'm wearing a tent. I'm worried that it's starting to look a little big, but I'm thinking that maybe I should start pulling it in a little bit. Maybe at the top of my, like after the Guernsey pattern, maybe just at the top under the armpits, I'll start to pull in a few stitches so that I have small shoulders, so I'll have to adjust for that. Yeah, so it's going to take a little bit of playing around with the numbers as I'm working through it. I couldn't really envision it ahead of time. It would be a lot easier if I was going top down, but this is bottom up, and so I have to play with the numbers a little bit. But yeah, that is my work in progress, or will be my work in progress, and that is the first. And the second is going to be, oops, and I'll just keep it at 2 this time. It's going to be my socks for April. Obviously, this is also another one that I've not started. And the reason I can't really show you anything that I'm working on currently is because I spent all the time yesterday, day before, and the day before that, just knitting that sock to try and finish it within March. So it's going to be a fresh start for me tomorrow, and this is going to be my April socks. I've caked it up already, and this is a lovely yarn by Woolberry Fiber Co. Bethany. I don't know if this colorway is still available. It is on the simple sock base, which is 75% superwash merino and 25% nylon, 463 yards, 400 grams, and the colorway is called Manuka Blossom. Let me show that to you. And I don't know if this colorway is still available right now because it was one of her earlier colorways. I love it, and you know what, I was just holding on to this yarn because I like the colors, but I think it's nice. You know, it's perfect now to knit it in April because it reminds me of hyacinth, and just the different colors. I don't know if you can pick up the little green and yellows in there, and the purples and the different shades of lavender and creams, and yes, I think it's beautiful. And yeah, so that's all caked up, ready to go. So this is a lovely project bag that I'm going to be housing it in, and it is from Eva Faith, and I've used this bag a couple of times before, but I'll just share it with you. I still keep her little card with me. It's evafaith.etsy.com, and she makes these lovely project bags with these hexes, and it is just perfect. It's got the flowers and all ready for spring. So there they are, and the needles that I will be using, it is my Chiagu fixed circulars, and they are 2.25 millimeters. I love these needles from Magic Loop. I knit my socks as Magic Loop. I have 2 of them, and I try to do them concurrently when I feel like it's a pattern that's complicated. I haven't picked a pattern as yet, but I was thinking, I saw this lovely lace pattern, and I think I want to try a lace pattern for April. You know, just to have maybe a little bit more variety in my socks, but we'll see. When I do decide on the pattern, I will let you know. Let's move on to details on the Let's Knit KAL. So we are starting a knit along that will be starting tomorrow, which is April the 1st, and going up until June the 30th. So you have 3 months to do a project. I'm looking to it's going to be running 2 knit alongs at the same time within the same KAL, basically. And one is the monthly prizes for smaller knits, and I haven't come up with a name for this, for the monthly prizes versus the prize for the big project at the end of 3 months. So if you have any fun names, do share them with me. I will definitely consider them, and you know, I'm sure you guys can think of something more creative than I can at this point. But yes, so basically I've already opened up a chatter thread, and I plan to do it a lot earlier, just never got around to it, sorry. But yes, it is open now, so you can post your comments there as to what you're going to be starting on, your yarn choices, maybe what you have decided, and that's just for the chatter. So it'll be one chatter thread for all the projects, and then I'll do a finished objects thread for the monthly prize, maybe 2 weeks from now. So you can post just your finished object, one per post, so it'll be easy for me to draw. So for the monthly prizes, what we're looking for are smaller knits. Those can be hats, mitts, one project, shawls maybe, something smaller, whatever you want to do, a toy, anything like that. So we'll keep it to the monthly giveaways. And then anything that's going to take you 3 months. So it's going to be a bigger project, usually like a jumper, a cardigan, 3-skein shawl, a blanket, something bigger that'll take you the 3 months. And I will open up a finished objects thread for the 3-month projects probably in May sometime, so that you can start posting them there. But I really am looking for projects that you've worked on that have taken you a bit to work on. So I leave it to you to use your discretion in as to what falls into that category, because we all knit at different paces, so I do get that. And for these projects, you can go in and enter anything that you haven't finished. So as long as you have a little bit more to work on to finish them. So if you've done a cardigan and all you have is a sleeve, it might seem a little unfair to put it into the 3-month thread where someone else is working 3 months to get something finished for that. But it can go into the 1-month thread, and you know, you can put it in there. So just use your discretion, and it's meant to be just fun at this point, and a way to just interact with each other and encourage each other on our projects, basically. So I hope all of that has been covered. For the prizes, I ask that you be a subscriber to the channel as well as a member of our Ravelry group. And I don't see any drawbacks in doing so. So yeah, feel free to join in if you haven't already. And it should all just be a lot of fun. So that's what's starting tomorrow, 1st of April. So have your needles, your projects ready to go. And if you've already worked through some, you know, partway on some of the projects, don't feel left out. Please do join in, and it's just be part of it. Explain where you are, what more you have to do, and you know, it can also be cause for conversation. So join in. So I think that's it for this week. I thank you very much for joining me and for being part of my knit night today. I hope you got some knitting done. I hope you got some of your crafting done. And if you were enjoying your cup of coffee or tea, I hope the rest of your day will be just as nice. I look forward to catching up with you again. And until next time, happy knitting. Bye-bye.